You're not tired, you're just soft, you're not lost, you're just scared to move. While you sit there waiting for the perfect moment, life is punching you in the face. Wake up, no one's coming, it's time to attack. You've been conditioned to wait. Since day one, you've been programmed to believe that life will somehow align itself perfectly before you act. That one day, all the pieces will fall into place. You think the right time will just magically appear, that the fear will disappear, that someone will come along and show you the path, give you a sign, hold your hand through the process. But here's the truth: no one's coming. There is no right time, there is only now, and most people waste it waiting for something that doesn't exist. You think playing it safe is the strategy? You think being careful is wise? You think delaying action until you feel ready is smart? That's the biggest lie you've ever believed. You're not lacking information, you're not lacking resources, you're not lacking ability, you're lacking urgency, you're lacking that fire in your gut that says, I don't give a damn if I'm afraid, I don't care if I'm not ready, I'm doing it anyway. You're lacking that mentality that says, I take responsibility, I take control, I don't wait, I attack. That's the shift that changes everything, because the longer you wait, the weaker you get. The longer you hesitate, the louder fear becomes. And the more you sit back and do nothing, the further you fall behind. The clock is ticking whether you move or not. Time doesn't pause because you're scared. Life doesn't slow down just because you haven't figured it all out yet. Every second you spend thinking about what could go wrong is a second you're not moving forward. Every minute you spend scrolling, watching others live their lives, is a minute you'll never get back. And one day, you'll look up and realize you've spent years waiting for a perfect moment that never came. You'll realize the only thing that ever stood between you and the life you wanted was your refusal to act. Your refusal to say, I'm done waiting, I'm taking what's mine. Attack life with everything you've got, with zero hesitation, with no apologies. You're not here to tiptoe around your goals. You're not here to half-ass your purpose. You're here to dominate, to build, to leave your mark. But that can't happen while you're sitting in comfort, waiting for clarity. Clarity comes through action. Confidence comes through execution. The answers you're looking for, they're on the other side of movement. They're revealed through blood, sweat, repetition, and failure. You want to know who you really are. You find that out in the trenches, not on the sidelines. You're stuck because you're passive. Because you're afraid to commit. Because deep down you're scared of failing. But the real failure is doing nothing. The real failure is wasting potential. The real failure is knowing you were capable of more and never doing a damn thing about it. That's what should terrify you, not taking a shot and missing, but not taking the shot at all. That's how dreams die. That's how people live decades of regret, because they never made the decision to act like their life depended on it. If you want to change, you've got to get aggressive. You've got to wake up with fire in your chest and a war in your mind. You've got to attack the day like it owes you something, not with arrogance, but with hunger, with obsession, with drive. No more excuses, no more waiting, no more soft talk. It's go time. You've got one life and the clock is running. This is not a drill. This is your reality. What are you doing with it? You're not the only one who's tired. You're not the only one who feels lost. You're not the only one who's been beaten down. But the ones who rise are the ones who fight anyway. The ones who win are the ones who keep moving through the pain, through the fear, through the chaos. They don't wait for the fog to clear. They move through it, step by step, inch by inch, refusing to be frozen by uncertainty. That's what it means to attack life. It means acting before you're ready. It means leaping without a safety net. It means burning the damn boats and going all in. You weren't put here to play small. You weren't created to exist in the shadows. There's something inside you that wants to erupt. There's a warrior in you that's been silenced by fear, smothered by comfort, buried under excuses, but it's still there, waiting for you to stop hesitating and start swinging. You think you've got time. Time is the biggest lie you've ever been told. You think you're safe because you're young. You think you'll figure it out later. Later doesn't exist. People die with their dreams still inside them every single day. And you think waiting is wise? Waiting is the slowest form of suicide. Start now, not when you feel like it. Not when it's easy, now, when it's hard, when you're scared, when you're unsure. That's the test. That's what separates the ones who make it from the ones who talk about it, because anyone can plan, anyone can talk a big game, but not everyone acts, not everyone executes, not everyone moves when it's time to move. And right now, it's time to move, not next week, not next year, now. There's a power that comes from decision, a force that gets unlocked the moment you stop waiting and start doing. That's when your mind sharpens. That's when your body toughens. That's when life starts bending in your direction, because it respects the warrior, not the waiter. It responds to action. It responds to discipline. It responds to relentless pressure. If you want results, apply pressure daily, relentlessly, with intensity, and never back off. You can read all the books. You can listen to every podcast. You can collect inspiration like it's currency. But if you don't act, if you don't put your ass on the line and move, it means nothing. Execution is the only thing that counts. You've got to put skin in the game. You've got to be willing to risk failure, embarrassment, and pain to get what you want. Because nothing worth having is handed out. It's earned through grit, through fire, through sacrifice. You've got a decision to make. Will you continue living on autopilot? Will you keep letting fear dictate your every move? Or will you finally stand up and punch life in the mouth? Will you finally say, I don't care if it's messy, I don't care if I fall, I'm done sitting still? Because that's the moment you begin to change. That's the moment your life begins to turn, not when you find some magical formula, not when someone gives you permission, but when you give it to yourself. When you stop waiting and start attacking. When you decide that your life is worth fighting for. Everybody wants the glory, but no one wants the grind. Everybody wants to be strong, but nobody wants to suffer. You say you want greatness. You say you want to be different. But the second it gets uncomfortable, the second it burns, you back off. That's the problem. You're trying to grow without pain. You're trying to get better without sacrifice. You're chasing strength without doing the reps. You're hoping for change without doing the work. It doesn't work like that. Strength is built in suffering. Greatness is carved out of pain. Discipline is forged in the fire of doing what you don't want to do every single day, even when no one's watching. You want to become unbreakable, then you've got to break yourself. You've got to push past comfort, past limits, past every excuse your mind throws at you. That's where the power lives, not in the easy, not in the convenient, but in the grind. You can't become solid if you never sweat. You can't become sharp if you never struggle. That pain you're avoiding, that's your gym. That's your classroom, that's your proving ground. Every ache, every sore muscle, every mental battle. That's where the growth begins. You think pain is the enemy. You think suffering means something's wrong. But the truth is, pain is a teacher. Suffering is a mirror. It shows you who you are. And most people run from that mirror because they don't want to see the weakness. They don't want to face the truth that they haven't done the work. They want to keep lying to themselves, pretending that they're putting in effort, pretending they want it. But when the pain shows up, the real you gets exposed. There's a savage version of you underneath all that fear and doubt. But you'll never meet that version sitting in comfort. You meet that version at mile 10 when your lungs are screaming. You meet that version at 4 a.m. when your alarm goes off and you want to sleep. You meet that version when your body says stop and your mind says keep going. That's when you meet the real you, the version that's built through pain, sharpened by suffering, and disciplined through repetition. Discipline is not about doing what's fun. It's about doing what's necessary. Every single day, no matter how you feel, you don't rise by doing what feels good. You rise by doing what hurts. That's how you separate yourself from the masses. That's how you become a machine. People will call you crazy. They'll say you're obsessed. Let them talk. While they sleep, you work. While they party, you train. While they quit, you push. And while they wish, you build. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you could be. Pain is the toll you pay to cross that bridge. You want mental toughness, earn it in the gym, earn it in the silence, earn it when no one's around to clap. Earn it when you drag yourself through hell and come out stronger on the other side. You don't get hardened in ease. You don't get forged in comfort. You become unshakable by doing the hard things over and over again until it becomes your identity. You need to fall in love with suffering, not because you're a masochist, but because you understand what it's producing. You're not chasing pain for pain's sake. You're chasing what it unlocks. Because on the other side of that burn is pride. On the other side of that grind is power. On the other side of that sacrifice is the version of you who doesn't fold under pressure, who doesn't make excuses, who doesn't wait to feel good. He just shows up and executes. You've got to rewire your brain. Every time you feel pain, don't flinch. Smile, say, this is the work. When the alarm goes off and your body begs for more sleep, say, this is the test. When you're tired, sore, defeated, and you want to quit, say, this is the moment that makes me. Because most people never get past that point. They tap out, they run, but you're not most people. You've got to decide that the pain isn't a sign to stop, it's a sign you're getting closer. It's a sign that your body's evolving, your mind's toughening, your soul's catching fire. People want shortcuts, they want easy routines, they want 6-minute abs and 30-day hacks. You know what works, showing up every single day when it sucks, doing the reps, lifting the weight, running the miles. Making the calls, reading the pages, building the habits, over and over and over. That's the formula, that's the grind, and if you don't like it, too bad, that's the price of greatness, and either you're willing to pay it or you're not. It's not about motivation, that's a fair weather friend. It's about discipline. That's what shows up in the dark. That's what carries you when your legs are shaking, when your back is against the wall, when your mind says, you can't. Discipline says, I will. And the only way to build that kind of discipline is by living in discomfort on purpose, by choosing hard every single day, by building a mind that doesn't flinch, a heart that doesn't quit, and a body that doesn't need permission to work. Your suffering will either shape you or shatter you. It will either make you bitter or better. That's your choice. Every time you want to quit and don't, you get stronger. Every time you resist the urge to go soft, you gain an edge. Every time you do what you hate and do it like you love it, you're growing, you're becoming the version of you that few ever see, the version of you that can't be broken because he was built in the dark. When you embrace pain, when you choose discipline, when you lean into suffering, you start to unlock parts of yourself you never knew existed. You start to look in the mirror and actually respect what you see. Not because you're perfect, but because you know what you've earned. You know the blood you've spilled, the tears you've swallowed, the hours you've invested. That's what pride feels like. Not fake confidence, not external validation, but the deep, quiet power of someone who's done the work. And no one can take that from you, not the world, not your past, not your fears. Because when you've suffered, when you've chosen pain over comfort, when you've put yourself through the fire and refused to quit, you become something else. You become dangerous, not to others, but to weakness, to mediocrity, to the old version of yourself that used to back down. That version dies in the suffering, and what's left, a warrior, a savage, a disciplined, relentless force that attacks life with everything he's got. There's a version of you right now that's comfortable, lazy, soft. That version of you makes excuses. That version of you hits snooze, skips workouts, breaks promises, stays silent when it should speak, and backs down when it should fight. That version of you is killing your future. That version of you is the reason you're stuck. And the truth is, that version of you has to die, not change, not improve, die. It has to be destroyed, because as long as it lives, it's going to pull you back every time you try to level up. You can't become a savage while keeping a coward alive. You can't become unstoppable while feeding the version of yourself that's weak. There's a war going on inside you, between the part that wants to rise and the part that wants to remain. And only one survives. One gets fed, one gets starved, one gets stronger, the other dies. You have to kill that part of you that's addicted to comfort. You've got to murder the mindset that plays it safe, that craves validation, that needs to feel good to take action. You want transformation. It starts with execution and ends with elimination. You eliminate every thought that says I can't. You kill every habit that makes you soft. You destroy every excuse before it even forms. That's the battlefield. That's the fight you face every single day. And most people lose because they don't even know the fight is happening. They don't recognize that the real enemy is inside. They think it's time, money, resources. No, it's you, the version of you that sabotages, the version that hesitates, that complains, that negotiates with discipline, that says I'll do it later. That version is a liar, and as long as it lives, you'll keep falling short. You've got to be savage enough to kill it, relentless enough to rip it out. You don't negotiate with weakness. You eliminate it. You don't manage it. You crush it. You build discipline like a weapon, and you use it every day to silence that voice that tells you to quit. That's how real change happens, not by reading another book, not by writing another plan, but by declaring war on your lesser self and going to battle every single day. People talk about change like it's some magical moment, like it's a decision you make once. Change is war. It's violent, it's messy, it's painful. It's you in the dark doing what you hate again and again until the old you breaks, until the soft version of you can't survive anymore. And nobody claps for that. Nobody sees it. But that's where the fire's built. That's where the beast is born, not in comfort, not in motivation, but in doing what you hate like it's your obsession. You've got to be willing to kill comfort. Because comfort is a liar. It tells you you're fine when you're not. It whispers, take it easy, when you should be going harder. It wants you average. It wants you normal. And it's so subtle you don't even realize it's winning. You justify it. You say just one day off, just this once, I deserve to relax. And little by little the soft version of you comes back. You open the door for it, and once it's in, it takes control again. You don't manage that part of you. You crush it. You cut off its air. You outwork it. You suffocate it with consistency. Every time it says sleep in. You wake up earlier. Every time it says quit. You push harder. Every time it says you've done enough, you do more. That's the blueprint. That's the daily death you need to die, because the real you, the disciplined, focused, driven you, is underneath that weak voice. And the only way to unleash it is to kill what's covering it. People think toughness is about how loud you yell or how angry you can get. Toughness is quiet. Toughness is doing what has to be done when you don't feel like doing a damn thing. Toughness is staying in the fight when everything in you says walk away. Toughness is showing up every day, every rep, every moment, and executing, no matter what. And that kind of toughness isn't built in the gym. It's not built when things are going your way. It's built when it's hard, when it's boring, when it hurts, when there's no applause, no recognition, just you and your decision to not let the weak version of you win today. You've got to look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I serious or am I lying? Because if you say you want to be great, if you say you want to lead, to inspire, to become the best, but you keep doing the same soft, lazy things, you're lying. You don't want it. You like the idea of it, but you don't want to pay the price because the price is high. It costs you your comfort. It costs you your excuses. It costs you that weak version of you that's been surviving off your inconsistency. And if you're serious, truly serious, you kill that version. You starve it by showing up when it screams to stop. You beat it down by outworking it every day. You kill it with sweat, with pain, with focus. You kill it by refusing to bend. That's what it takes. It takes being so brutally honest with yourself that you can't lie anymore. It takes being so committed that even on your worst day, you still show up and execute. The soft version of you won't die easy. It'll fight. It'll whisper. It'll scream. It'll beg. It'll try to reason with you. It'll remind you of how far you've come. It'll say, take a break. You've earned it. It's not that serious. And if you listen even for a moment, it starts to win. You don't listen, you don't talk, you don't reason, you act, you move, you train, you do, and that's how you keep killing it, daily, one action at a time. This is about more than goals. This is about identity. Who do you want to be? Not what do you want to have, but who do you want to become? Because the life you want, the respect you want, the pride you want, that belongs to the disciplined version of you. That belongs to the savage. That belongs to the one who kills the coward every single day.